Hello everybody, welcome to today's daf from my place of residence, Salford. Today we're doing Talmud Gemara Shevuot Daf 18 Omid A. So let's dive straight in. And if we say that we are dealing with an Am Haaretz, so what's an Am Haaretz? Ve'i ba'am Haaretz. If one is unaware that it's prohibited for him to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected date of her menstruation, and he also does not know that it is prohibited to immediately withdraw from the woman if she experiences bleeding during the act of intercourse, then even if he withdraws immediately before losing his erection, he is liable to bring only one sin offering. Although he performed two prohibited actions, there is only one lapse of awareness, and that's in the Ram Sefer Kabbalah Hilchos Dagot 5:7. An ignoramus who does not know that it is prohibited for him to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected onset of her menstruation, and who also does not know that it is prohibited for him to immediately withdraw from her if she experiences menstrual bleeding during intercourse, then both this and that, his entry and his withdrawal, he will be able to bring only a single sin offering, since he had no awareness of his transgression between his two actions. This is like one who ate 2 olive bolts of forbidden fat in the course of one lapse of awareness. Source of footnote: Chayla, forbidden fat. This refers to animal fats forbidden by the Torah law, according to permitted fat. Intentionally eating the forbidden fat of kosher domestic eating animals is punishable by karet. Leviticus 7:22-25, and a sin offering must be brought for partaking of them unwittingly. The fats of non-domesticated kosher animals and of kosher birds may be eaten. Among the signs differentiating forbidden fats from permitted fats is the fact that forbidden fats lie above the meat and are not intertwined with it. They are enclosed by a thin membrane and are easily peeled away from the meat. Most of the forbidden fats of a sacrificial animal were sacrificed on the altar. Although he performed 2 prohibited actions, eating 2 olive bolts of forbidden fat, each one carrying liability for sin offering, since he ate both in a single lapse of awareness, e.g. he was not aware that what he was eating was forbidden fat, and that he ate one olive bolt after the other. This is considered a single transgression, and he is liable to bring only one single sin offering. Similarly, an Amoros who did not know that he was sinning is considered like one who engaged in intercourse with a menstruating woman twice in a single lapse of awareness. Tosfot and others comment that although she informed him during the act of intercourse that she was experiencing bleeding, so there was an awareness in the middle, this is not considered awareness of transgression, since he did not think that he was sinning, but rather that he was a victim of circumstances beyond his control. And is therefore liable to bring only one sin offering. Here too, although he performed 2 actions for which one could be liable to bring a sin offerings, entry and withdrawal, there was only one lapse of awareness. Rather, it must be a case where it was not near her expected day of menstruation. If one engaged in intercourse with a woman not near the expected day of her menstruation, and she experiences menstrual bleeding during the act of intercourse, they are both exempt from bringing a sin offering, as they are regarded as not as unwitting sinners, but as victims of circumstances beyond their control. And that's from the Ram Sefer Kabbalah Hilchos Dagot 5:6. And there was no reason for the man to think that the woman would experience menstrual bleeding. And with whom are we dealing? If we say we are dealing with a Torah scholar, then he should not be liable to bring even one sin offering. Because with regard to his initial entry, he was the victim of circumstances beyond his control. And with regard to his withdrawal, after he knew that she was a menstruating woman, his transgression was intentional, and he would be liable to receive karet. And if you're dealing with an Am Haaretz, he should be liable to bring only one sin offering for his immediate withdrawal. Rather, we considered and then said, actually, it is a case where it was near the expected day of a woman's menstruation, and we are dealing with a Torah scholar. But he is a Torah scholar only with regard to this halacha. If we know that it prohibited him to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected day of a menstruation, but he thinks that he can complete the act of intercourse before bleeding commences, and he does not know that it is prohibited for him to immediately withdraw from the woman. If she tells him that she has experienced bleeding, and she told him that he experienced bleeding, and she told him that she experienced bleeding and withdrew immediately, he is liable to bring two sin offerings, as there are two levels of awareness. This is according to the opinion of Rava, and that's the Rambam Sefer Kabbalah Hilchot Shegagot 5:7. It is prohibited to engage in intercourse with a woman near the expected onset of a menstruation, and he erred in thinking that he could complete the act of intercourse before she experienced menstrual bleeding. Therefore, once he learns she has experienced menstrual bleeding, he is liable to bring a sin offering for his own witting transgression at the time of his entry. But he is not a Torah scholar with regard to that halacha. That it's prohibited for one to immediately withdraw from a woman if he experienced menstrual bleeding during intercourse. Since he had awareness of his transgression between his two actions, this is not an instance of one lapse of awareness, and therefore he is liable to bring a second sin offering for his unwitting transgression at the time of his withdrawal. Rava said, and we learn both of these matters for which he is liable to bring a sin offering. We learn about entry and we learn about withdrawal. Rava now clarifies the matter. We learn about withdrawal as the Mishnah teaches. If a man was engaging in intercourse with a richly pure woman, and during the course of the intercourse he experienced menstrual bleeding, and he said to him, I become impure, and unwittingly he immediately withdrew from her, he is liable to bring a sin for engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman. Rava continues, but we learn about his entry in the Mishnah Nida 14a. If a spot of blood is found on his rag, if one engages in intercourse with a woman near the expected day of a menstruation, thinking that he can complete the act of intercourse before her bleeding commences, when she experiences bleeding during the act of intercourse, they are both liable to bring a sin offering, as this was an unwitting transgression. Therefore, if blood is found on the rag he used to wipe himself after intercourse, they are both impure and are liable to bring a sin offering. And that's the Rambam Sefer Kabbalah Hilchot 5:6. I.e., the rag that he used to wipe his penis after intercourse. Then it is clear that this blood came from the woman during the act of intercourse. Consequently, both the man and the woman are impure and are liable to bring a sin offering for the unwitting transgression. Rashi explains, what is it not the case that the Mishnah speaks here of one who engaged in intercourse with a woman near the expected day of menstruation, and it teaches that he is liable to bring a sin offering for his entry at that time? Rav Ada bar Matana had said to Rava, actually, I could say to you that the Mishnah speaks here of one who engaged in intercourse with a woman not near the expected date of a menstruation, and he is liable to bring a sin offering for his immediate withdrawal upon learning that she has experienced menstrual bleeding. And if you would say, why do I need to be taught once again about his withdrawal? Didn't the Tana already teach this in the Mishnah here? One can respond, it was necessary to teach us this, i.e., the continuation of the Mishnah in Tractate Nida, which states, if a spot of blood is found on her rag, Nimsa Shela, if blood is found on the rag that the woman uses to wipe herself after intercourse, and she had wiped herself immediately after separating from the man, both are impure and liable to bring a sin offering. If she waited long enough that she could have stretched her hand under the pillow and taken an inspection cloth, and only then she wipe herself and find blood, it is uncertain whether or not they are impure, and therefore they are exempt from bringing a sin offering. If she waited long enough and she could have gotten out of bed and washed herself, and only then did she wipe herself and found blood, the man is pure. Rambam Sefer Kabbalah Hilchot Shegagot 5:6. Rashi explains that the woman did not find the blood on her rag immediately after intercourse, because in such a case it may be presumed that the bleeding had occurred during intercourse. Rather, she wiped herself only sometime later. She is certainly impure, but since it is not clear whether the bleeding occurred during intercourse or only afterward, the state of the man is uncertain. Therefore, no sin offering is brought. The rags she used to wipe herself after intercourse, they are impure only because of an uncertainty, as perhaps the bleeding commenced only after they completed the act of intercourse, and therefore they are exempt from bringing a sin offering. And since the Mishnah had to teach the case where the blood was found on her rag, it is also taught the case where it was found on his rag, even though there is no novel element in this ruling. Rava said to Rav Ada, can you really interpret that Mishnah as referring to a case where it was not near the expected date of the woman's menstruation, and that he is liable to bring a sin offering for his withdrawal? But isn't it taught in the Mishnah, if the blood is found on his rag, And these words indicate that the blood was found only afterward, after the man had already withdrawn from the woman. That is to say, only after he withdrew from the woman, he learned that she experienced menstrual bleeding. Rabbeinu clarifies the difficulty. And if the Mishnah is referring to a case where he is liable for his withdrawal, at the outset, when he withdrew from the woman, it was from then that he had knowledge of a menstrual status, as he withdrew because she informed him that she had experienced bleeding. Of what significance is his finding blood on his rag? Rabbi said to Rav Ada, listen to what your teacher Rav Venus is saying, as he explained the matter. Rav Ada said to Rava, how can I listen to his words and accept his explanation, as it is taught in the Braita with regard to the Mishnah concerning blood found on a rag? This is a positive mitzvah with regard to a menstruating woman for which one is liable. Rav Ada explains, and if it is so that the Mishnah is referring to a case where the man is liable for his initial entry, this warning is difficult, as engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman is not the violation of a positive mitzvah, but a prohibition. If the Mishnah is referring to a case where a man is liable for his entry, this does not involve the violation of a positive mitzvah, but rather the transgression of the prohibition against engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman, says Rashi. The Rambam, the Ritva, and others raised several objections to this explanation, including the fact that there is no Braita relating to that Mishnah interacting neither that state. This is a positive mitzvah. Therefore they prefer Rabbeinu Hananel's version of the text, which reads, and if it is so, it's a positive mitzvah and a prohibition. The difficulty is from the Mishnah here, and the Gemara essentially repeats that which was stated in the previous Omad, namely that the man is liable for two transgressions, one for entry and one for withdrawal, and as if in fact he is liable for engaging in intercourse near the expected day of the woman's menstruation, there is not only the violation of a positive mitzvah, but also violation of the prohibition of, and a woman who is impure by uncleanness shall you not approach to uncover her nakedness, in Leviticus 18:19. The Ritva notes that even Rashi's version of the text can be understood in this manner. Rava said to him, if you learned in this Braita in this manner, its wording is imprecise, as this is missing words, and you should teach it like this. When blood is found on the man's rag, this is a prohibition with regard to a menstruating woman for which one is liable. And additionally, if a man was engaging in intercourse with a richly pure woman, and during the course of the act of intercourse she experienced menstrual bleeding, and said to him, I become impure, and unwittingly he immediately withdrew from her, he is liable to bring a sin offering for that act, and this is the positive mitzvah for which one is liable with regard to a menstruating woman. The Gemara resumes its discussion of the Mishnah. The Mishnah said above the Master said above in the Mishnah, if he immediately withdrew from the woman after having been informed that she had experienced menstrual bleeding, he is liable to bring a sin offering for engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman. The Gemara asks, what should one do in such a situation? Rav Huna said in the name of Rava, he should press his 10 fingernails. If one was engaging in intercourse with a woman, and during the act of intercourse she told him that she was experiencing menstrual bleeding, he must not withdraw immediately with his erect penis, but rather he should press his 10 fingernails into the ground and wait without moving until his penis becomes flaccid, and only then withdraw from her. And that's the Rambam Sefer Kedusha Hilchot Shuri Be'ah 411 Shulchan Aruch Yoredeya 185:4 into the ground, i.e. the bed, and restrain himself and do nothing until his penis becomes flaccid, and only then should he withdraw from her, as it is good for him to do so. Rashi on the commentaries explain this as follows: it is good for him to do so. He is fortunate if he conducts himself in the required manner. The Aruch provides a completely different interpretation. The word vitov is a reference to the penis, so that the whole phrase means until his penis becomes flaccid. Elsewhere, the Aruch records a version where the word vitov is replaced by hagid, another term for denoting the penis. Rava said, that is to say, one engages in intercourse with a flaccid penis. The fact that the halacha requires that the man wait until his penis becomes flaccid and only then withdraw indicates that if withdrawal is not considered prohibited intercourse, the reason being that there is no total prohibition against engaging in intercourse with a flaccid penis, with those with whom relations are forbidden is exempt. As if it enters your mindset that he is liable, here in the Mishnah, what is the reason that he is exempt if he wants to withdraw and withdraws only later, after he has lost his erection, you might say that it's because he's the victim of circumstances beyond his control, in that the woman experienced menstrual bleeding while he was in the middle of the act of intercourse, and not because he withdrew from with a flaccid penis, as one who engages in intercourse with a flaccid penis is liable. But if he is exempt from liability because he's a victim of circumstances beyond his control, then even if he withdraws immediately before losing his erection, he should also be exempt, for the same reason that he is the victim of circumstances beyond his control. Abaye said to Rava, actually, I could say to you that one who engages in intercourse with a flaccid penis with those whom relations are forbidden is liable. If one engages in intercourse with his penis while his penis is flaccid, even if he inserts his penis into the vagina manually, he is not liable to be punished with kohet or lashes, and certainly not with a court-imposed death penalty. This is because his action is not considered intercourse, in accordance with the opinion of Rava. Rambam Sefer Kedusha, Hilchot Yisrael Beya 111, Torah Even Ezra 20, and the Beis Yosef there. And here, what is the reason that one who waits and withdraws only later, after he has lost his erection, is exempt? It is because he is considered victim of circumstances beyond his control. And concerning that which he said, why then is he liable if he withdrew immediately? When you said he should also be exempt, is it because he should have withdrawn with a flaccid penis and experienced little pleasure, but instead he withdrew with an erect organ and experienced great pleasure? Rabbi Bahanan said to Abaye, if so, according to your opinion, we find a difference in halacha between a long way and a short way with regard to a menstruating woman. The opinion of Rava is the difference is not in the time of withdrawal, whether it is immediate or delayed, but rather if he withdraws with a flaccid penis, there is no prohibition. This is similar to the opinion that the airspace above the temple courtyard is not considered like the temple courtyard with regard to ritual impurity in the temple. Well, the opinion of Abaye is that both cases involve prohibited intercourse, but there is a difference between immediate and delayed withdrawal, the former being prohibited and the latter permitted in the situation under discussion. Consequently, it is found that with regard to the prohibition of engaging in intercourse with a menstruating woman, there's a long way and a short way. This is similar to what is found with regard to the prohibition of ritual impurity in the temple, and even though leaving through either route would be prohibited if his presence in the temple courtyard could be resolved in some other manner, nevertheless it is permitted to exit via the short way, but not the long way. See the Ritva. If he withdrew the short way, i.e. without waiting, he is committed transgression, but if he withdrew the long way, i.e. after waiting, he is not committed transgression. Thank you for listening and wish you all the best. Bye.